Hey guys, welcome to another 72 DPI video. Today we are going to be reviewing Dice Forge. This is a game that was designed by Regis, I'm going to butcher this name, Regis Busonini, and published by Libelu Games. This is a 1 to 4 player game where you take on the role of a hero who's battling the rivals, your opponents, for a seat next to your god. The gods have blessed you with a opportunity to be amongst them, and basically you just need to defeat your other players around you. And the way you're going to defeat your opponent is with these two dice. They are customizable faces, so you can actually change what faces are on each of the sides based on how you play, what you roll, and what you want to purchase from the shop. It's actually a very cool mechanic, albeit very random because, like, let's face it, you're rolling dice, and rolling dice is always going to be random. But you have some say over the randomness based on what faces you interchange and what you do with each of the dice individually. So the game is played over 10 or 9 rounds, depending on how many players you have. If you're playing with 2 or 4 players, you play 9 rounds. If you play with 3 players, you're going to play 10 rounds. The round tracker is right here, goes around the center circle there. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the game and how to play it, and then we'll kind of jump into the review itself. If you want a full breakdown of how to play the game, there'll be a separate video of Learn to Play Dice Forge, but I just want to give you kind of an idea so you know what you're looking at and how to play the game from like a 50,000 feet up view. So like I said, the game's played over several rounds, depending on how many people you play. Each player is going to get 2 of these dice. So each player will take a player board. It's going to track how much gold they have, how much of the sun emeralds they have, how much of the moon emeralds they have, and then also their victory points. And essentially what you're trying to do is just earn as many victory points as humanly possible. There are no hit points or anything like that, so defeating your opponents is more so beating them in victory points. Like I said, there are no hit points or anything like that, so you don't actually kill your opponents. You're just trying to earn more victory points. Your player card is punched out, so you can track your different values here with these cubes, and they just kind of sink into the card themselves. You've got your player 1 token, and then a couple other things kind of strewn about here. There's different cards that you can purchase based on what you roll. The card values are written on the player board themselves. There are some interchangeable cards that you can bring into the game as you get more familiar with it. They're a little bit more strategy based, a little bit more powerful. The game does offer a kind of default setting for like beginners and things like that. So if you look at the player board, you've got one emerald here, or 1 sun emerald here. You've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then up here at the end you've got 5 and 5, and likewise over here. So each card does something different. There's a couple different icons that you'll notice on the card themselves. So let's take a look at these ones here. So this icon right here is a little tornado. That means as soon as you purchase it, it's going to do something right then and there, and that's it. It's a one-time effect. So when you purchase this icon, this card right here, which is in the 1 slot for sun emerald, for a sun emerald, let's just say you roll this and you gain your 1 point, then you can go ahead and spend it and buy this card. So this card, what this is going to do is it's going to give you 3 gold. So move your tracker up to 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you're also going to get 3 of the moon gems. 1, 2, 3. So that's it for that card. Now you'll want to keep these instant cards because they are worth victory points at the end of the game. So not only are you tracking your victory points on your tracker here, but you're also going to count these cards at the end. You can lay them face down if you'd like. That way you kind of keep them secret from your opponents, and they don't see how many victory points you have stored up in your cards. So the other icon that you'll notice on there is the little gear icon. And this basically means at the start of your turn, you're going to get some type of effect. So this happens every turn at the beginning of your turn. So in this instance, you're going to be either getting 1 gold, 1 red, or 1 blue diamond, depending on what you need at that any given point. So you'll move your tracker at the beginning of the turn. The other thing to keep in mind, just like with the instant card, is you're going to get a victory point as well. So there's that. These cards you'll want to leave face up, so that way you'll know every turn to actually do that ability. Some cards offer some type of strategy and alternate abilities. So like this card here, when you purchase this for 1 blue gem, it's not worth any victory points, but it does provide you with this little tracker here, and you'll use your little tracker to kind of follow along the path here. So basically what this card does is it offers you a way to invest your gold. So you can basically spend 1 gold to move along the trail here. Once you go through once, it's worth 10 victory points, and then you can flip the tracker over to the second side, which has the Roman numeral 2 on it, and you can go through again and get 15 additional points. So that's a really cool way to earn points as well. The other thing that you can purchase as far as like upgrades go for your player board is this card here. It costs 1 blue moon diamond, and this basically allows you to add one of these board additions. So you just track this on, or you just tack this on the end of the board here, and now instead of capping out at 6, you can go to 7, 8, or 9. Likewise for your gold and red gems there. This card itself is worth victory points too, so you'll want to keep that in a safe place. There's a whole bunch of other strategy involved with this as far as what kind of cards you want to purchase. Some let you re-roll dice, some let you multiply different dice faces. Some of them even let you take from your opponent's rolls and things like that. So it's really cool on what type of cards you can buy. Now, for your gold, when you earn gold, when you roll gold, you can use that gold to purchase from the shop here, or the store. I'm not really sure what they call it. You can purchase dice faces. So you've got a couple different amounts here. So these 8 are 2, these 8 are 3, 4, and so on in that fashion. And essentially what you'll be doing is, if let's say I have 3 gold, so I can purchase either any one of these from the 3, or I can also purchase any from the 2 as well. Let's just say I'm going to purchase one of these sun diamonds. So I would take my 3 and go down to 0, and then what I can do is I can choose a dice face on either one, doesn't matter, and you just basically pry it off like that, and then replace it with the one that you just purchased. And now this dice has been altered, so now this one basically increases my chances of rolling the sun emerald. Which is really nice. You can buy multiples if you'd like to. There's a couple different strategies involved with, keeping 1 dice for gold and 1 dice for the different emeralds and things like that. And yeah, it's just it's a lot of fun. It's a really neat mechanic. It's a very unique mechanic. So you'll move your pawn around the game board, purchasing different cards, and like I said, each of them does a different thing. And essentially, you'll whoever has the most victory points at the end of the 10th or the 9th round wins the game. Okay, so with the kind of overview out of the way, let's kind of break down the scores here. So let's talk about gameplay. Gameplay, while intriguing and there's a lot of like strategy involved with what cards you're going to purchase and what dice faces you're going to purchase, you're still at the end of the day rolling dice, and there's a lot of luck involved. And sometimes when luck does not go in your way, there could be some real like feel bad moments. You're really kind of betting on on one strategy, and if things kind of go south because of a bad roll, your strategy might shift mid-game, and that's kind of one of the downfalls of this game. It feels like it's almost too short. 9 and 10 rounds doesn't feel like you've got enough momentum if something goes wrong. Whereas if your strategy goes right and you're rolling all the right cards or the right dice faces to purchase the right cards, you could have a blast. You could have a really good time. But I feel like the game might be just a little too short for the amount of randomness that's involved with the dice rolls. So one of the other things that I wanted to touch on in the gameplay aspect of it is the actual like dice face changing. Like, you can really alter the way you're going to play the game. So if you really focus on gold at the very start of the game and really kind of get your dice to a decent level before you start purchasing cards, you can really kind of mitigate a lot of that luck. But then again, if you don't roll gold, or maybe you're just rolling 1 or 2 gold a turn, that's not really enough to kind of get you to where you need to be, and now you're taking turns off where other people are buying things, and that's really where those feel bad moments come into play. So for gameplay, I gave a 7. It's above average. It's still a lot of fun. Like I said, there's going to be games where there's going to be rounds where you just don't do anything. You roll your dice, and you're like, oh, okay, I got 2 gold. That's the end of my turn. And then you're just waiting till the next round to do something. And who knows, maybe you roll 2 more. Oh, now I got 4. Well, let's see here. I can buy this 6-piece right here. And now 1 of my 12 dice faces will get me 6 gold instead of 1. And you may never roll that dice face. So, like I said, there's still a decent amount of randomness to it, but there's still a lot of fun to be had. So I gave it a 7. So next up is component quality. And I'd have to say I'm actually pretty impressed with how well this game is held up. It takes a real beating. I mean, imagine, you're rolling this dice over and over again. You're picking new dice faces, and you're literally prying them off of the other face of the dice. You're gathering cards. There's different components as far as different cardboard components at play here. And it's held up really, really well. So I'm going to be giving Dice Forge a 9 out of 10 as far as the quality of the components. They're just, it's just really strong plastics. The paper, as far as the cards are concerned, are gloss finished, so they're nice and slick. They got a nice coating on them. The cardboard actual components themselves are nice, thick pieces. They've got each player board's cut out, so you've got a nice place to sit your little tracker dice. And just overall, the component quality is second to none. As far as component quality, fantastic, 9 out of 10. Okay, so next up is the art and presentation. The first thing you'll notice is the art in this game is actually on the generic side. It's pretty generic. There isn't a lot going on in the scenes, which can be seen as a bad thing. I mean, art is subjective, but the nice thing is it's cohesive. And that's kind of what I like to see. The game is actually really nice to look at on the table. So people that are standing or walking by, it's got a nice board presence. There's a cohesive art direction from each card to the game board. The one thing that I really enjoy is the artwork that transfers from the actual game board itself to the card. So like these actual pieces match up and they seem like they go there. There's a fit to the board and the game card itself. As far as like the actual artwork on the dice faces, it's very clear what is happening, right? If you roll this, you're getting 6 gold. If you roll this, you're getting 2 of the blue gems. There's even some that are a little bit on the complex side, but it's still like, hey, this is what's happening. So like, for example, this is the perfect example right here. You've got 2 dice faces here. This dice face has 2, 2, and 2 for each of the 3 things: gold, emerald, and sapphire, and then a question mark. This one has 4. They've got the 3, 1, 1, 1, and 1, and then a actual +1 for the victory points. So this has got a little plus in the center, so clearly you get all 4 of these. This one has a question mark, meaning you get whichever one you want. You get to pick. Do you want 2 gold, 2 sapphire, or 2 of the blue emerald? So, and I keep calling it blue emerald. I'm not sure. I think it's just the moon gem. Anyway, you get 2 of each, whichever one you pick. So the dice face, I feel, are pretty self-explanatory. There's not a lot of complex things happening. So again, very cohesive, generic, but cohesive. So the one thing that, as far as the presentation is concerned, is I like how the board actually fits these cards in. That's really nice. The tracking your different quantities of things is very powerful and very easy to understand. The one thing that pushed this game up, and normally I would say as far as the art and presentation goes, I'd probably give this like a 7, maybe an 8. But the one thing that makes this a 9 And this, a lot of game companies can take note. This game insert is phenomenal. There is literally a place in here for everything in this box. There are no baggies in this game. Literally every component has a space. So the dice, they all go here. All the cards fit in the center here in the slots and things like that. They even separate the cards out by the beginner cards and the expert cards, and the different sides they are on, and then also like the ones that cost a couple of each. You've got your player boards here, which underneath the player boards are where the tracker dice goes. You've got places for your different actual pawns. Like everything fits in this game board or game insert. The other thing that pushes this to a 9 is the sleeve that comes with the game that tells you, not only does it tell you where all these pieces go, so it makes cleanup so much easier, but it actually sleeves over the actual shop here, keeping all the components nice and tight against the actual board itself. There's a band that wraps around this that keeps this tight. This is one of those games that I feel like you could probably put on your shelf vertical and not have to worry about the components just spilling all over into the actual box itself. I store all my games horizontal, so I don't really have to worry too much about that, but I feel like this is one of those games where you could, bookshelf your game and not have to worry about any of the components falling in. So for me, if it wasn't for the insert, if it wasn't for, this tray, and, if it wasn't for that, this would probably be a 7, right? It'd be a 7. But with those components, bringing the presentation up to a 9 is phenomenal. The other thing that I really enjoy about this is once you put the game away, setup is so much easier. Is the only downfall that you can run into, the only thing that can trip you up is if you don't put the cards back in order. If you just push all the cards into a stack and throw them in the box, then you're going to have a little bit of setup issues. But taking down all of your your dice faces and putting your dice back to the standard starting dice face, and then putting the sleeve over top of them, as soon as you pull that box off the shelf, you are literally ready to play. And that, to me, speaks volumes about this game. There are no baggies, so there's no digging for components and things like that. It's literally set the game board, pull out your cards, unsleeve the shop, and you're ready to go. Like, you're up in no time. So the one thing that this could make a 10 out of 10 as far as art presentation goes is I would have liked to see minis. I know some people are against minis, and some people think that they're overplayed, but there's only 4 characters. The artwork on the actual characters themselves is actually pretty cool. I feel like if this game had miniatures, even small ones, they don't have to be super detailed or anything like that, just, enough to display and, show what character you are, I think that could go a long way. To me, that would give this game a 10 out of 10. So, next up is story. And the story, I'm not going to lie, the story is kind of weak. Like I said, you're at the beginning, you're, these mortal characters that have been given a seat next to your gods, and you're trying to pay tribute and go on these quests and things like that. And these are supposed to be quests that you're going on. I don't feel like it's a quest. There's a little bit of a disconnect there. Like, why am I paying sun gems to defeat this owl? Is that what's happening? Or am I defeating this snake thing? Or am I jumping into this portal? Like, what? There's really a little bit of disconnect there as far as the story is concerned. The one thing that does show through is by the time that you get to the last 2 or 3 rounds, depending on how your dice rolls have going, you really do feel more powerful. And that is, in my opinion, is what they're trying to portray, is the more tribute you pay to the god, the more powerful you become. So, and that's not just in the dice rolls, but it's also in these cards that you purchase that have lasting effects. So you might end a game with 4 or 5 of these cards. So at the beginning of your turn, you're like triggering 5 or 6 things, and multiple things are happening, and people are rolling dice, and you're stealing things from them. And as the game progresses, you do feel like you're getting more powerful than you started, which is great. There's a good progression there, but I feel like the story doesn't match up with the theme as much. Gaining powers and becoming a more powerful individual, while that's a cool theme and earning different cards and things like that, and the dice faces changing and becoming more lucrative, that's really cool theme. But the story really doesn't it just kind of falls flat on its face, if you ask me. So I gave the story and the theme a 7 out of 10. One of the things that I think they could have really done to improve this was, if these were in fact quests, I would say have some type of way to win or lose them. So like if I pay three of the sun gems to go on this quest should be either a victory or a loss for me, and I should have to be able to do something, whether that's rolling the dice or spending something else, or some way to demonstrate like, hey, you won this quest, or something that you have to do in order to win this quest. I feel like that would go a long way. Give you a little bit extra bump. Maybe if you don't finish it, you still get something on the back end, whether it's a couple gold or something like that. I feel like that could tie in the story a little bit more, and that would in my opinion, would improve the actual story aspect of this game. Okay, so last up is our replayability, and in my opinion, there's actually quite a bit of game inside this box. There is an expansion available that you can purchase. It gives you more dice faces, it gives you different cards and things like that. But as far as like the base game is concerned, there's a lot of different cards that you can substitute in. You don't have to play with all the beginner cards or all of the expert cards. You can kind of customize it to how you like it. So if you've played enough of the game, you'll kind of understand which cards go good with which cards, and you can really kind of fine-tune it to make it a really good experience for your play group. As far as replayability goes, like, no two games are going to be the same. I mean, when you're rolling 2 dice, and that's basically telling you what's happening, there's a lot of luck involved. But like I said, as far as the gameplay aspect of it goes, as the game continues, you're getting more powerful, you're doing more things, especially if you've got those cards that are allowing you to do things at the beginning of your turn. Even you might start your turn with 4 or 5 actions before you even roll the dice. So being able to acquire those cards early on in the game while still altering your dice faces is, a strategy that you're going to have to decide which one you're going to go after. Are you going to dabble here and dabble there? Are you going to go all in on the dice faces, or are you going to go all in on the actual cards themselves? Because remember, when you spend gold, or when you get gold, you spend it over here, and when you get the gems, you spend them on the player board and the cards. So, trying to balance the two and coming up with a strategy, really, it can be difficult. So it's going to be one of those things where there's a couple different strategies to refine and figuring out what works best, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of luck involved. That's all there is to it. So for replayability, I gave an 8. So overall score, I'm going to give Dice Forge an 8 out of 10. Now that's not an average. That is my stamp on this game itself. While there is a lot of randomness involved, there's a lot of really good strategy that you can alter the amount of randomness involved. There's also plenty of cards that you can purchase and strategies you can use on this side of the board that affect what's happening not only on here but also on your player board, giving you more gold, giving you more gems and things like that. The components are really, really strong, and the aspect of just changing the dice faces of your dice. Again, I cannot stress this enough. This is just such a fun aspect of the game. Being able to change these dice faces to what you're looking for, to kind of support your strategy to move you forward. While you're only spending gold to purchase these, you're also spending gold to upgrade. You could upgrade your sun sapphire, or you can upgrade your sun token here to 2, or you can take out one of the gold ones, and make it a 2. So now you got a chance to roll a 1 sun emerald or a 2 sun emerald. It's kind of up to you how you want to approach it. And like I said, there's plenty of strategy involved with it, but there's still a lot of luck. So overall, I'm going to give Dice Forge an 8 out of 10. highly recommend the game. It's just a lot of fun. It's great for kids. They enjoy playing it. It's great for non-gamers as well as gamers for that kind of casual game before you get into one of your heavier like Gloomhaven or Mansions of Madness types of games. This is kind of a nice kind of slow down and just enjoy the game. You could also use this as kind of like a end of the game night type of experience where there's only so many rounds in this thing. It seems to go fairly quickly. So you could actually just sit down like, hey, we just finished our round of Gloomhaven. Let's go ahead and play a couple rounds of Dice Forge and just kind of cool off. This is kind of like a cool off type of game. So I highly recommend it. Definitely pick it up. There will be a affiliate link down below in the description. So if you did find this game interesting and want to pick it up for yourself, you can use that link down below. It is an affiliate link, so Amazon will see that we sent you there. It won't cost you any extra money, but it'll give us a kickback from Amazon. So we really do appreciate that. If you like the video, make sure you get subscribed and hit the notification bell so you get notified when we upload new videos. And like I said, make sure you leave us a like and comment down below. All that stuff helps us out, and we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.